You know that feeling, right? You've been looking forward to a trip for weeks, maybe months, only to be hit with a wave of dread when you think about the airport itself. We book vacations to rest, but the journey to get there often feels like it does the exact opposite. Well, in this explainer, we're going to go way beyond the usual travel tips. We are going to dig into the real science of why airports are so draining and give you a powerful, strategic plan to take back your energy, your calm, and, the actual joy of the journey. And that really says it all, doesn't it? The airport, which is supposed to be this exciting gateway to adventure, has turned into this gauntlet of chaos. It just wipes you out, physically and mentally, before you even get on the plane. And listen, this isn't just a feeling you have, it's a real thing. But what if that exhaustion isn't inevitable? What if it's a problem you can actually solve once you understand what's truly going on inside your brain? So here's our game plan. First, we're going to define what this airport gauntlet really is. Then we'll dive into the science of your brain and the chaos. After that, we get to the good part, the solution, something I call the pre-filtering protocol. And I'll walk you through your own strategic defense plan. We'll see how that builds confidence through control, and we'll finish up with one simple, proactive step you can take on your very next trip. Okay, let's start with something really important. That feeling of being totally drained at the airport, it is not your fault. It's not a personal failing, and it's definitely not a sign you can't handle travel. It is a completely predictable, logical reaction to an environment that is, by its very nature, just overwhelming. And getting that, truly understanding it, is the first step to taking back control. It's not about you, it's about the gauntlet itself. You can really see the problem right here. On one side, you have what you want, a restful trip, that happy feeling of anticipation, some actual enjoyment. But then you have the airport's reality, a total storm of sensory overload, confusing signs, constant noise, and it all just leads to exhaustion. It's this clash between our hopes and what the environment throws at us that causes so much of our travel stress. So why does it have such a powerful effect on us? Let's get into the science. So what is it about the airport that makes it so uniquely draining? Well, the answer isn't about your attitude or having more willpower. It's actually rooted in cognitive science and how our brains are literally wired to process the world. The modern airport, with all its layers of information and noise, just presents this massive challenge to our internal systems. To figure out the solution, we've got to understand the science of this overwhelm first. The key idea here is something called reduced inhibitory control. Now, just think of your brain as having this really sophisticated built-in spam filter. Its job is to automatically block out all the junk, the background chatter, the announcements for other flights, all the visual noise, so you can focus on what's important. Now, as we get older, that automatic filter just naturally gets a little less effective. And in a quiet room, you'd probably never even notice. But in an airport with its nonstop barrage of stuff coming at you, that less effective filter means your brain is suddenly flooded with information it now has to sort through manually. And this is the domino effect that happens next. Because your automatic spam filter is struggling, your brain has to switch to manual mode. You're now using a ton of conscious effort just to filter the chaos. And that intense manual work rapidly drains what's called your executive function. Think of it as your brain's CEO, the part that handles planning, decision-making, and focus. And when the CEO is exhausted, well, you're left with the inevitable results: anxiety, mental fatigue, and that deep down exhaustion you feel sitting at the gate. So here's the big takeaway from all that science. The problem isn't that you lack mental energy. It's that your cognitive filter is just completely overwhelmed by an environment it was never designed for. Your brain is working overtime, burning through its most precious resources, just trying to keep up. Realizing this changes everything. You don't need more willpower. So if we can't change our brain's internal wiring, what can we do? Well, we can build a better external filter. Let's look at how. And that brings us to the solution, what we're calling the pre-filtering protocol. Okay, this is the turning point. We figured out the problem isn't some personal weakness, but a cognitive filtering failure. So now we're going to build a powerful, actionable protocol that acts as your new external filter, a system designed to protect your mental energy before the airport even gets a chance to drain it. Now, this whole protocol is built on 3 really solid pillars. You can think of it as your personal airport defense system. Pillar number 1, the pre-filtering mandate. This is all about controlling key information before you even leave home. Pillar 2, the energy conservation rule. This is about proactively protecting your physical and mental stamina. And Pillar 3, the sensory shield. This is like your personal force field for blocking out all that environmental chaos. Together, these 3 make up your complete defense plan. All right, let's turn all this theory into action with a step-by-step strategic defense plan. This is where it all becomes real. These are practical, effective things you can do on your very next trip to put the pre-filtering protocol into practice and, honestly, to fundamentally change your experience of flying. Step 1 is to create what I call your triple-check master document. What does that mean? It means printing out all of your critical travel info, flight numbers, confirmation codes, gate numbers, times, everything, onto a single sheet of paper in a big, easy-to-read font. Then, at home, you triple-check it. This piece of paper now becomes your single source of truth. You see what you're doing? You're basically externalizing your executive function. Instead of forcing your brain to search and filter chaotic screens, you offload all that work onto a calm, simple piece of paper. It frees up so much of your brain's processing power. Step 2. Implement the noise-canceling strategy. Seriously, the moment you walk into that terminal, put on noise-canceling headphones or some good earplugs. You don't even have to listen to music. The goal is to activate your sensory shield. By physically blocking out that constant auditory chaos, the announcements, the beeps, the roar of the crowd, you dramatically reduce the amount of spam your brain has to filter. This one act is probably one of the most powerful things you can do to preserve your executive function. Okay, step 3 is a really crucial mental shift. It's about proactively using mobility and boarding assistance. Now, I know a lot of us resist this because we see it as a sign of weakness. It is the absolute opposite. Requesting a ride for a long walk between gates is a high-level strategic move to conserve physical energy, which is directly tied to your mental energy. By saving your strength, you're saving your cognitive stamina for what really matters, making good decisions, and actually arriving at your destination ready to enjoy it. And finally, step 4 is to define a decompression zone protocol for yourself. You know, the natural instinct is to go plant yourself right at the gate, in the heart of all the chaos. I want you to resist that urge. Instead, find a quiet corner of the terminal, maybe a less used gate area, or even an airport chapel. This is not just waiting, it's a deliberate act of cognitive recovery. Just giving your brain a mandatory sensory break for 15 or 20 minutes lets your executive function reset and recharge before the next part of the trip. So let's do a quick recap of your defense plan. Your master document gives you one source of truth. Your noise-canceling headphones create your personal sensory shield. Using assistance helps you conserve precious energy, and a decompression zone gives you mandated moments of calm. You see? Together, these 4 simple actions form a really powerful defense against that airport overwhelm. So let's talk about the long-term impact of all this. This isn't just about surviving a single trip. It's about building a sustainable, empowering approach to travel that creates real confidence through control. The psychological payoff is huge. When you have a plan, that anticipatory anxiety that can ruin the days before a trip starts to just fade away. You start to see the airport not as an enemy, but as a manageable part of the adventure. And that ensures you can keep exploring the world with energy and joy for years and years to come. I really want this quote to sink in. Slowing down, printing a document, wearing headphones, these are not signs of weakness. They are high-level strategic techniques for managing a challenging environment. You're not just coping, you're intelligently adapting to a system that is, frankly, flawed by design. That's a sign of wisdom, of self-awareness, and it's absolutely something to be proud of. It's you taking control. Ultimately, the whole point of this entire protocol is to get you back to why you're traveling in the first place. By mastering the airport gauntlet, you're protecting your energy for what actually matters, arriving at your destination with the stamina to explore, to connect with people you love, and to create new memories. These strategies make sure that travel remains what it's supposed to be, a source of joy and fulfillment, not some test of your endurance. Okay, so we've gone from the science of overwhelm all the way to a complete strategic plan. Now, let's bring it all home to a simple, clear, proactive step you can take. This is how we move from just understanding the problem to actively committing to a better travel experience, starting right now. Before I give you the challenge, just take a second and think about your last trip. What was the one noise that was the most chaotic for you? Was it the constant overlapping announcements, or just the general roar of thousands of people talking? The beeping of the cards? Pinpointing your personal source of auditory stress is the first step to taking back control. And that brings us to your first proactive step. My challenge to you is this: commit to using a sensory shield on your next trip. That's it. Just decide right now that you will bring and wear noise-canceling headphones or earplugs from the moment you walk in the door. This one simple act can be a total game changer. It's the cornerstone you can build the rest of your strategic plan on. So as we wrap up, let's just quickly go over what we've learned. The mental drain of airports is a real structural problem. It's caused by your brain's cognitive filter getting totally swamped. But the great news is, this problem has a clear solution. You can build your own external filter. You can use a sensory shield to create a little bubble of calm. You can use a master document to quiet all that informational noise. These aren't just little travel tips. They are essential acts of self-preservation. So first and always, remember that the mental drain you feel at the airport isn't in your head. It's a real structural problem. It's just your brain working overtime to filter a world of chaos. But the most powerful insight here is that you can build your own external filter. Using a sensory shield like noise-canceling headphones gives you the immediate power to restore your own calm. And conserving your energy with a plan, and maybe a little help, is a strategic choice, not a compromise. And that is the final thought I want to leave you with. Informed preparation is what transforms the journey. It's what ensures your travels are defined by confidence and excitement, not exhaustion and anxiety. Travel well.